Hi, I was gonna paint the cover of one of these signatures and just show you how I do it. I do it very simple. I don't do a lot of frills. I just like to do the cover before I start filling the pages. It just is how I do it. And so I thought I would show you guys a quick way to do it. I just have an old cruddy brush. I don't use real fancy brushes with my acrylics because they eat them up. I use makeup sponges. This is a Ray Missigman, I don't know how you say her name, but anyways, it's one of her stencils from Stencil Girl. I really like it. You can just tell I use it a lot. Like it. And then some golden fluid acrylics. I have Pearl Red, Carbon Black, a yellow, it doesn't matter what kind of, I do like this yellow oxide, sorry, it's not ochre, it's yellow oxide, and then a blue. So I just grabbed some random colors, and then I always have this golden like gesso. I like to use it, especially on the covers. It adds some thickness to the cover, and then it's just a nice way to use white. I use this, I love Golden's white, but lately I've been using this more than I have the white, just because it's easy and it's on hand. So I have that as well. So what I like to do first is just put some white in here randomly. I don't really think about this too much. And then I drop some colors. I like to do, for the first color, I like to do like 3 drops, and then just kind of work it in. And then if I have extra, I just put it onto my paper here, and I can use it later for in art journals. I don't know, it's just nice to already have some kind of color down. Sometimes it's a nice creative way to start a page. So I always have that down there to just do leftovers on my brush. So there we go. So I'm just doing a little bit there. And then I clean off the brush completely. I hate wasting paint. You can see I have there actually wasted some paint, but I don't like to waste paint. So I like clean it, scrub it onto the thing, and then I rinse my brush. And then as best I can, I just kind of wipe it off. And then I also have, I always have baby wipes on hand, and they're nice for quick getting rid of residue on brushes too. When I'm in the middle of cleaning, it's just nice. When I'm in the middle of painting, sorry, it's nice to have this. So there we go. So then I'm going to add a little more white gesso in places, just to get some more white space, because I kind of, when you're using these little, this is a new thing for me, is using these little journals, and I love them, but I'm having to learn how much paint to use, because I can get a little heavy on the paint. So try to make smaller dots is my advice, or use your palette. And I will use my palette at some point here. So I'm just going to dab one there, and then I'm going to grab it and dab it in other places, just to kind of fill up these spaces. And if it gets onto the other paper, I don't really care, because if I don't like it when I get there, I can cover it up anyways, so it's not a big deal. So I just leave it and kind of go to town. So just kind of randomly, I like it real random on this part, makes it nice. And then, so when I put out these colors, I like to use all of the colors. I like a lot of layers, or I like it to look like there's a lot of layers at least, so that it looks like there's some history even in a simple little thing. And I don't let it dry very much either right now, because when you're using acrylics and you use the fluid ones, they dry very quickly. And so it doesn't take very long for you to move on to the next layer. And so I'm gonna add, again, a little white gesso spots in here. And I like when it blends into the other layer because it actually adds another color that you didn't add on here, which is nice, I think, because it makes it, it gives you another shade that you don't have out. So I like that. All right. And so now we've used the red, we used the blue, we've used the yellow. Now I want to use the yellow ochre. Sorry, I keep calling it yellow ochre, but it's oxide, sorry. I bought a little packet of these tiny golden ones. I have big bottles, but when I'm doing art journaling, I just need a little bottles, and so they can fit on my desk real easy. And so this yellow came in the packet. I really like it, but it's not one that I actually normally use. So, but I like it. Okay, so there you can see that it's already looking like there's some layers going on in there, and I think that's pretty cool, actually. And so now I like to add some black. With the black, I'm going to add to the palette, and I'm going to use the little makeup sponges, and I'm going to dab it on here and take the stencil, lay the stencil down, and just dab it through the stencil. I like to keep it a little dry because you can always go back in if you can see through and know that it's not getting there in some places, like right there. And so I just go back in with it. And then I turn it around, do a different direction. I got a little wet there. Oh well, it'll be fine. And then I'm gonna do a spot here, I think. Oops. Needs a little stronger here. I'm gonna turn it around. Sometimes it helps to turn it around. It's easier to work on it. And I'm just gonna add a little teeny bit right here. There we go. Okay, so far so good. I'm gonna let it dry. Okay, so we're gonna finish on this cover. I was gonna add a little bit of white, and I have this stencil. It says it's the L587 Dube, but it's from Stencil Girl. And what I liked about it is it had 3 different sizes of circles, and I'm gonna use some of these big ones in here. And so I'm gonna lay it, I'm gonna find a place, and I'm just gonna kind of lay it across, and then put some white on. So here we go. I'm gonna use the white gesso for this, and I'm gonna dip it in the gesso, and then I'm gonna kind of put it over here and use that as my palette. And I'm gonna go, okay, that's a little too strong, so let me lighten it up a little. There we go. I'm gonna move it out of the way. And I'm just, I'm not hitting every single one. I'm just kind of, because some of them I wanted to leave more of that black shining through. I love black. So I'm just leaving those, and let me see, a little stronger. I'm gonna put another layer. Sometimes if I go back in with another layer, instead of putting it on so heavy in the beginning, it works for me. you might have a different way, but that's how it works for me. If I just layer on a stencil rather than go really dark in the beginning, I seem to get a better clear line underneath. Not that I do that every time. Sometimes I get in the zone and I forget, and then I wish I would have done that. But sometimes it doesn't happen and it's just a happy accident and you can work with it afterwards, but maybe define it with a pen or something. But there we go. So then there's some little circles on there. All right, I'll let this dry and then I'll come back in. You know what, before I stop, I think I need to go back in on that circle. Do you see that? I forgot it. So I'm gonna put a circle on that and go back in on that one. Let's try it one more time. All right, much better. Okay, we'll let this dry and then we'll finish it. Okay, now I'm gonna go back in with a white Posca pen. And all I'm gonna do is take these circles and I'm gonna randomly do just little squiggly circles around these circles. Uh-oh, see, happy accident. I just let it, I dip into that. Do you see that little splurt? I don't ever fret too much about those types of things. My journaling tends to be a little messy anyways, and so it always fits the motif. And I might turn the book and use it like this, as that is the back and this is the front, since that happened. Or I may like it, you never know. With me, you never know. So basically do that. And then as it dries, I might add a word or two, but for the most part, I like it just like it is. And then I will use this around this as a closure, and it is done and ready to work on the inside. But there you are, easy as that.